This is 4.5 student notes, and this is Math Models Day 3. And if you notice, the first part of this is your student notes, and then you'll continue these for your homework. Okay, according to the biorhythmic theory, your body is covered by 3 independent sinusoid functions, each with a different period as follows. With your physical function, your period is 23 days, your emotional is 28 days, and your intellectual is 33 days. You're at a high point on all 3 cycles today. This means that you're at your very highest ability, physical, emotional, and intellectual. The amplitude of each sinusoid is 100 units, and the vertical displacement of each is 0. Write equations for these 3 functions in terms of the number of days after today. Okay, so we have some information here, and then we have our periods up here. So I'm going to start with our physical, and I'm going to do 3 different graphs to represent these. Remember, you need a graph, and then you need an equation as well. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a small graph here for my physical. It says each displacement is at 0. So I'm going to go up 100 and down 100. And remember, when you go below the x-axis, you're going to be at a negative. So if I start at 100, let's see, we need to know the period. It says the period is 23 days. So if I do a periodic sinusoidal graph, this is going to be 23. And then, of course, you can find the middle, which is going to be 11.5. Okay, let's go ahead and stop and find our b for each of these. So that means I'm going to go 2 pi divided by 23 to find the b for each of these. This is going to be 2 pi divided by 28, and that reduces to pi over 14. And this is going to be 2 pi divided by 33. So I can go ahead and write my equation for everything after I got it. So how about y equals, I don't have any shift up or down, so that's going to be 100 for my amplitude. I'm going to go ahead and write this as a cosine. This was 2 pi over, whoops, that's a 2, 23. And this is going to be an x value for my radians. Okay, let's go ahead and do emotional. Still starting with the same graph with a displacement at 0. So I'm going to go up to 100 and down to negative 100. Still having a period of 28 days. So let's start here and do a graph ending at 28 days. If you wanted to do that middle mark, that's going to be 14. So my equation here is going to be y equals 100 cosine. And then we figured that was pi over 14 for the b value. And there's my x for my radians. Okay, my last one is going to be intellectual. Okay, still having a displacement at 0, going up to 100, down to negative 100. And I'm going to start at 0, 100. And my period is 33 days. And then that middle point there looks like it's going to be at 16.5. So that's that middle point. And again, if you wanted to add more points, you're more than welcome to. This equation is going to be y equals 100 cosine. And that b value is 2 pi over 33. And there's my x. Okay, using these equations and these graphs, let's answer our questions. B says 33 days from now, you will again be at an intellectual high point. What will be the values of your physical and emotional functions on that day? So looking back at your physical and emotion, so the first 2 values, I would go to your calculator and plug in x of 33. So you can go to your table. So your physical, if you plug in an x value of 33, I get negative 9, that's not 19, that would be 91. 0.721, rounding to 3 decimal places. My emotional is going to be 43.388. For C, it says biorhythm theory says that the most dangerous time for a particular function is when it crosses a sinusoidal axis. When the first time this will happen for each of your physical, emotional, and intellectual functions. So I want the first time, okay? So this means that y is 0. So go into your calculator, go ahead and plug in y of 0. So let's look at our physical of y of 0. So your x-axis is representing days. So on physical, this is going to be 5.75 days. Your emotional is going to be 7 days. And intellectual, this is going to be 8.25 days. Okay, for our last question here, it says, how long will it be before you are at another high point for all 3 cycles? I want all 3 cycles basically to overlap. Okay, there is several places where they overlap at the same time. Your first time where they first overlap is going to be at 21,252 years. Or the next time they overlap is going to be 58.2 years. Now I want all 3 graphs to overlap together. Okay, the rest of this is for homework, and if you have any questions, please let me know.